Chair. I too welcome the motion today, and I congratulate Deputies Pringle, Collins and Connolly on the work that they've done to bring this before the House. And I think it's timely that government would review the fossil fuel investment, particularly in light of COP activity. But I do note, Minister, your concerns that you've raised just in relation to some strategic financial investments, and I think obviously that's going to require more work. So, but I accept the fact that government is not opposing this motion. I think it's also the motion calls for government to support the non-proliferation treaty of fossil fuels, and I think that would be a very formidable step, and Ireland should take that. I think we all have to recognise that. We've listened for the last few days of the deliberations of COP and the dangers that our planet and our future civilization is facing. And I think Ireland has shown by being a part of 2 UN resolutions in the past 2 weeks, that we can punch above our weight diplomatically. And I think this is something we should look to also. I think the direction of ISAF investments in the state is a good sign of state intent. And I think we need to look at what government is doing, Minister, in terms of trying to further our own ambitions regarding meeting our climate objectives, I should say. And you point out in response that Ireland is to chair the 2024 International Energy Agency. And I think that will be a good opportunity for us to get our own house in order as well, Minister. I note Deputy Kenny's comments regarding onshore wind farms, which have been hugely problematic in the countryside, and we need to get our planning right. But we are at present trying to progress Mara, and we are trying to progress onshore wind generation off the south coast of Ireland, and I think that too is going to hit very many planning difficulties because of the impact and the scale and the size of these turbines. And what I'd ask you, Minister, is those licences that are being offered down there are purely for pylon-based wind infrastructure. And I've raised this a number of times in the House. Why are we not looking at floating offshore, which is moving at pace? We're talking about it being possible off the west coast in 10 or 15 years' time, and yet there is floating offshore taking place already in other parts of Europe. And I think the reason is because of the cost differentials, but over time they will pale into insignificance in terms of the visual impacts, and I'd say that possibly the disastrous impacts to areas like the Copper Coast in Waterford. And as a resident of Waterford, I want to see a move to renewable energy. But Deputy Kenny mentioned about 180-metre turbines up in Galway. I would point out to you that the turbine heights that are being proposed off the south coast of Waterford, within 3 and 4 miles of the foreshore, are 350 metres, the larger than anything in Europe presently. And I think, Minister, we need to review this policy quickly, and we need to look at other possibilities to tender out what we're talking about there. I think it's also timely, Minister, to review our hydrogen strategy, which we've spoken about, and the ability of Ireland to become a leading player if we're going to utilise all of this wind resource that we have around the country. And it seems to me that we're very good at talking about our initiatives. We're not very good at progressing them. And I was part of an interparliamentary group that went to Germany early this year. And Germany has identified that it's going to need probably 70% of its future electricity generation provided by other countries. And Ireland could play a significant part of that. And where, Minister, is our hydrogen strategy? Where have we laid it out? Where have we shown real ambition and vision to try and develop this as a significant resource for Ireland? I think it's sad to say, but we're going to miss the boat on a lot of this, it looks to me, while other countries, including the UK, are being very proactive in this area. Beyond that, Minister, I would again raise the issue of carbon sequestration and carbon calculation with you. And I've highlighted to you a number of times that the EU itself doesn't seem to be able to agree exactly what carbon output is, but it is having a damaging effect in terms of what it is trying to engender on Irish agriculture. And there's a lot of work being done in terms of new pasture land additions, the use of different plants to aid carbon sequestration. And I would ask you, Minister, to reduce nitrogen output. And I would ask you again to please look at that with the Department of Agriculture.